Welcome to another episode of Dynamic Diecasters, where this week we're actually going to finally get to start the Star Trek The Next Generation Enterprise build. So this is basically the Enterprise from the Next Generation TV show. So this one will be a little bit longer introduction. So when we get back, we'll actually start looking at what came in the first package, which is the first two issues of the build. Yeah, like I said before the break or before the intro, this was the first two issues of the build. So basically, we got issues one and two, which is basically just issue one now. It looks like with the newer builds, they're consolidating them into one issue versus having a magazine for each individual stage. I was supposed to get, for pre-ordering the set, I was supposed to get pin badges, but when I received this kit, they did not have them. So as you've seen in previous episodes, I've been missing stuff, but they send me this little thing that says they owe them to me. So in a future episode, hopefully we'll get those at that point. It also goes into the introduction of the model. So basically this is a die-cast replica of the Galaxy Class USS Enterprise NCC 1701-D. It's based on a careful study of the different studio models that were used in filming. It's designed so the saucer and the star drive section actually can separate, and it's got working lights. Also, the exterior has all the details, including the phaser strips, the transporter emitters, the antimatter loading hatches, and the captain's yacht. As you can see here, and it looks like it's going to be over 2 feet long. I'll show you in a second. They actually send you a life-size model, a life-size photographed model. So I'll show you how big this thing is, or is going to be at the end. It also goes into the detail about the various studio models that were used, which they were a lot bigger than this model, but when I show you, this model is actually quite big. It looks to match the colors of the model specifically, and again, here's what the model will do when we've completed, where this part will separate from the saucer at the end of it. It'll be able to separate from the saucer at the end of the day. And then it talks about the lighting, and I can show you the lighting here about how it's going to look at the end, but obviously when we complete this build, you'll get a better idea of what the lighting will look like. That's that magazine. And then lastly, I'll show you the size that this model is going to be, which I hope I can get it all in the camera, but I probably won't be able to get most of it because it's pretty big. So in the grand scheme, this is how big the model is, and I'm 6 feet tall. So if this tells you how big the model is going to be, it comes from basically, if I put it at the top of my head, it would be below my waist in length, and it's wider than I am in terms of the model size. So this is going to be pretty massive when we complete it. So it'll be very interesting what it looks like at the end of the day, because right now it looks like I'm going to have to figure out a place for it. Anyhow, with that being said, when we come back, we'll start with the first stage, which it looks like the first stage is going to be the one of the most recognizable elements of the ship, which is the main command bridge on top of deck 2, and as well as parts of the lighting system in the ship. So when we come back, we'll get started with that. So for the first stage, there's quite a bit of parts, and looks like they were still doing the the box for at least for this part. It looks like hopefully they went to the plastic with the bags later. Seems like this was before that transition, but we'll see. Anyway, that one still wasn't that hard to take off, which is nice. But so the first part we're going to look at is deck 2. So that's what this part is, which this is pure metal. So this thing, based on the size, and if this thing is truly all metal like this piece is, this model's not only going to be big, but it's going to be kind of heavy at the end of the day, I can imagine, because this part is not very light and it's tiny, you know, it's not very big either. So anyhow, the next part we're going to look at is this part, which is the upper sensor platform. The next part is the bridge base, which I've seen videos online that this may be a modification later, but I'll take a look at that and see if I actually perform that or not. The next piece will be this piece, which is the main bridge module. That part, these parts have been plastic. The only metal part is that part so far. And then the next part will be, I think, this piece, which is the deck 2 front windows. And then this piece, which is a painted plastic, but it looks metal, is the deck front window reflector. Then we've got, it looks like, let's see, yeah, the emergency flush vent right, and then we've got another one that's the left flush vent, the emergency flush vent on the left, which one's black and the other one's clear. Then we've got this piece, which is the bridge front window. The bridge rear window. The bridge bottom. Let's see. This issue also has a screwdriver, so we'll see how long that screwdriver lasts. I've had issues with the screwdrivers in previous issues, so we'll see how those work out. Then we've got, it looks like, various escape pod covers, which I know I've read these. There's modifications for these to make them look more accurate, so that may be a modification down the line that I actually do. But for the meantime, that's escape pod covers 1 through 6 in that little section there. And then we've got this piece, which is the emergency flush vent right bracket and the left bracket. So this one is the right bracket and this one's the left bracket. Then we've got the deck front window light wire, which I'm assuming might be the one labeled A on here. It's not labeled that way in here, but I'm gonna guess based on hopefully the instructions specify that later, but based on the color of the wires, it looks like that's gonna be the case. This is the deck lights, the wire for the deck lights, and then this is the wire for the bridge lights, or the wiring for the bridge lights. And then we've got various screws. So we've got not very many actually. We've got 6 CM screws. We've got 8 AP screws, and then 3 CP screws. And with that, we'll go ahead and build this section, and then when I come back, I'll show you what this stage looked like. And that's the end of stage 1. So, as I said, it was going to be the main command bridge on top of deck 2, and then plus the beginnings of the lighting system. So you'll see all the wires connected where they could go right now. There's a couple of obviously wires that didn't connect, and then obviously we haven't connected them to the power unit yet, but that's the beginning of this stage, or the beginning of the build, so this is what it looks like. So you'll see the details up here with what'll be the deck lighting, then the escape pods, the first 6 escape pods, and then here's the bridge, and this is gonna be lit up as well. I think one of the modifications that I've seen is there's supposed to be something right here, but we'll tackle that in a later episode. For stage 2, it's going to be we're going to start to assemble the port warp nacelle, complete with the bustard collector and the formation light. So that'll be this next stage coming up. So with that, we've got this little box to open up. I'll detail all the parts that are in this part, and then we'll go ahead and start building it. So the first part is the bustard collector, which I believe is this part. And then the next part will be the nacelle front, which is, I believe, this part. And then the next part is the bustard EM field projector, which is this. Next will be the nacelle upper, which is this part. Again, that's metal too. So again, just these 2 parts so far being metal, and this is metal as well. I think this build when it gets built, is going to be quite heavy. The nacelle upper, I believe, is this part, and then the warp engine. Oh wait, sorry, this is the warp engine. The nacelle upper I already showed you. This is the warp engine field grill left. This is the right one, and then this is the rear of the warp engine. Then we've got the nacelle upper frame, which is this piece right here. Little tiny piece right here, which is the EM field projector reflector. You can barely see it, but it's a tiny little plastic piece. And then looks like there should be another piece that, one of them is the formation light. Maybe it's in one of the, oh, here it is, sorry. This is the projector reflector, and that was the formation light that I showed you before. And then a bunch of screws. So there's 9 AM screws, 3 BM screws, and 10 AP screws. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started on this, and when I come back, I'll show you this build, or this part of the build, and then we'll conclude the episode. And that's stage 2. So with that being said, that's the portion of the port nacelle that we completed. So here's the light portion that I put in. Here's the warp parts, and then the bussard and the upper nacelle. This piece came in, but it said it'll be used for a later issue. So that was stage 2. And as you recall on stage 1, this is what we completed. So we completed the bridge. So the deck lights, the bridge. And that's pretty much it for these 2 issues. If you like what you have seen, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. We're going to be putting these out every week, like I stated before in my other videos. The next video is actually going to be the next one in the DeLorean build. So it'll be issues 7, 8, 9, and 10, I believe. So you'll see that a week, next week. So like for all of us at the Heart of Geek, I hope you enjoyed this shorter episode, as it was the introductory episode for the Enterprise. But we hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good night.